I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any additions, deletions that you know of?
Not that I'm aware
Any
of.
board members? Okay. Then we'll move into the Lions Club.
You want to speak? Well, we may get thrown out if I speak.
We'll catch you.
Okay, basically, I wanted to come here because I see a real concern in this community is dying. Welfare department doesn't help, but beyond that, we really have to look at, there's no town spirit anymore. Some of that town spirit was generated by community activities that were carried out, parades, what have you. The more that is cut back, the more you're hurting the community. You really need to look at, I know it's not financially attractive to monkey with that kind of thing or confusing, but if we don't keep supporting this kind of thing, what we're going to do is we're going to have simply a bedroom community where nobody knows their neighbors, nobody cares. You already can't find people to join anything. Those little things that seem to be nothing add to the community spirit and build a wellness in the community. And really, last year the parade was acceptable, but not good. And really, we need to try and go out and do more for the community. I mean, I'm not a Richford citizen, so I'm just speaking on behalf of the Lions Club. But we really need to look at what we can do to help the community. The older people still remember what the town was in its heyday. I moved here in '89. The change from '89 to now is incredible. And true, you can maintain the roads, you can maintain basic services, but the community is dying without a little extra effort on the part of the town board to invigorate things like the 4th of July parade, Veterans Day parade, things like that. Something that just builds a sense of community in the town. And that's what I have.
Well, there's a little more to it than that. Yeah, we're really looking to know about the parade, the 4th of July parade. It's one of the, because we don't know whether to start ordering. We have to order stuff way ahead to get ready, prepared for that. And we don't know if it's gonna be on the 4th of July weekend or if it's gonna be period.
And my concern was,
Yeah.
last year, we already ordered. And then the parade was up, you might cancel it because you didn't have traffic control. And you were the chair at the time, the comment you made was that the town shouldn't be responsible for traffic control. I see you on TV do it. That's my concern, that if it's canceled at the last minute, we're left holding a bunch of
A
stuff.
lot of stuff.
And this year it's gonna be different because the Alumni Association is moving their banquet to the weekend after. So all these things concern us.
And I hope you already realize, the money you raise goes back into the community. So,
But town gives the money for the parade committee, right?
In the past.
We have, but there is no, the issue the last 2 years is there has been no parade committee. So it's fallen to the board who.
I thought we had a parade committee chairman in town.
The person
resigned.
retired.
They resigned.
So the
We
last
have-
2
there's no
years, it's
parade
been left to
committee.
us, usually at the last minute to swing this. And it's not an endeavor that has historically fallen to the board to plan. And, this is, in my understanding, it was a month long, like a month upon months planning, lining up all this stuff.
No,
And
There's
it's not
nobody doing
something the
that.
board typically took on. And it's not something I want to take on. So, I mean, we're willing to support it,
Yeah,
but we're not willing to be organizers of it.
Are you willing to try to find a chairman to do that?
They tried.
That's what I
They
did for the
tried.
last 2 years, I tried.
Excuse me?
I was the chair for the last 2 years, and I tried to raise awareness, I tried to get people
Facebook,
here.
whatever,
I
however.
tried to like organize something and nobody came.
But like you say, nobody wants to be involved in anything in the community.
So
You know,
We
there's
just need to
no.
know so that we won't have the barbecue if there's not good, cause that's what draws the people that we sell the chickens.
Right,
And that's where the money comes back into the town of Richford with like all the, the little.
right, but
stands.
now
Yeah, they're using them.
Franklin has their chicken barbecue, they don't have a parade to go along with it.
Yeah, but up here, it doesn't work that way, when- If we don't get the people here, it doesn't sell, so.
It's a lot different when you're on the end of the line. And that's why I was
I
talking
know.
about community spirit and trying to build it up. Because you just can't run a fundraiser in a vacuum.
Well, I don't know, what is the board, Rowena?
I was talking with some people over the weekend, and there was mention from the people, how can I get involved with the community? So I think the first thing is we need to get that communication out. We do have that sign. If we started putting things on that sign, that when you have a meeting and if you do that, and maybe articles or whatever, it's just, it doesn't seem like
And
we're
that's so
able
you.
to reach where the people and make that connection.
And I just wish that the people that talk to you about wanting to be involved, why aren't they calling the town hall telling us that they want to be involved? We don't get phone calls that say, how do I become involved in the community? We just don't get those phone calls, we get the complaints. I wish those people that want to be a part of the community would reach out to here at the town hall and say, hey, how do I become part of this committee?
Can you
Can I-
put that on the sign out there?
And we did just form a new Facebook page that's just for the town of Richford informational. No one's allowed to post on it because things get lost in that Richford economic development. I mean, it's for businesses mostly, so town business gets lost, I feel like. So we've created that page, and I guess that's another source that we can use to put that information out there. But when you talk to those people, tell them to call the town hall.
But can't we have that, if you've got this webpage,
Yeah,
can't you advertise that on that sign out
we
there?
can. I just didn't know that there was any community involvement from last year, when there was discussion about possibly not having the parade. Nobody reached out and said, oh my God, we're not gonna have a parade.
Yeah.
They don't reach out to the last second. Well, the last second doesn't work. You can't reach out a week before the parade and say, let's throw something together. That doesn't work. And that's when I feel like community members, that's when the complaints come out. Oh my God, we're not having a parade. Well, where were you 2 months ago?
Yeah, well, that's the problem with the line, for
You
us
know.
with the barbecue, if we don't start getting
Auction.
organized now in the auction.
Right now,
in the
yeah.
auction, if we don't start it now, it doesn't happen.
Right, and that's
And if
understandable.
we
but-
don't know, then, it's like, it's a conundrum.
Well, I wasn't even aware you didn't have a parade committee chairman.
Yeah,
No,
I knew we had one, but I didn't know you
it was a
did have-
long-standing person who did it, and they decided to step back or
Yeah.
retire from it.
Mhm.
And,
Well,
and, no, and
Well, at her age, I don't blame her.
there's just been nobody that stepped up to.
So there probably won't be a barbecue or an auction.
well,
I guess we could.
when's your deadline for having to have this stuff ordered? I guess
We
would be the
already
next
started,
question.
we actually would have started before now.
We start planning
Yeah,
by now.
Well, that's why we're here tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the absolute last date that you could possibly,
Well,
if we get the information out there
That's not-
tomorrow and,
it's the auction. what do we
It's the
have?
auction's the main thing, the food it's not
Not
as,
a-
you know.
We start planning 2-3 months ahead what we need for food, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't order till the middle part.
The auction.
I mean, the
starts-
planning is like planning, we can do that and just not purchase.
Well,
But gathering stuff for the auction, that has already started, so.
Yeah,
well, how about this? We'll
We-
post tomorrow, we're looking for parade committee members to organize this year's parade. And we can report back if we had any interest in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and the other thing, Wally, too, would be if you guys, I know it would be up to this committee if and when it happens.
Yeah.
But would your input be, you as a board, to have it the 4th of July weekend like in the past? Or would it be like because of the alumni banquet being a week later now?
Do we know why that is this time?
Yes, I do.
Mocha's won't open up for them on July 4th weekend.
Yeah, so they had to move it up a week.
See, Mike told last year, he emailed me, wanted to know when hometown day was. And I told him it's always the first Saturday in July.
Yeah.
Just looking at the
And so
calendar.
they had the golf course. But this year, the Alumni Association members voted to have it someplace else. Phoenix House, Malcolm's, or Country Club, and they decided on Mocha's, and come find out, you can't get there that 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, because the 4th is on a Friday.
Yeah, we'll
And usually-
add it on the Saturday.
And usually the parade is on that following when it's
It's the
on
first Saturday.
the first Saturday usually.
I mean, if
I mean,
you're
I-
looking at it, you wanna capture the people coming in, alumni weekend would probably be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's why we were
That's
wondering
what you're
whether you
looking
guys,
to do.
if you do present that to a baby committee,
Yeah. Hey,
would
you're
you
looking to
guys
do the,
prefer to see it that week? Cause that makes a difference when we're planning too,
so on the 12th, you guys are,
Is that when they're doing
July
it the
12th, that's the
following
second Saturday.
That would be when they're having the alumni banquet.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 11th.
I don't have a problem with moving it back a week. I mean, I think,
Or forward, yeah.
forward a week. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm just gonna be the devil's, the problem is are we going to be able, once again, to find people to shut down these roads? Because even last year, when the plan came together, it was still a fiasco.
It was.
So I'm not gonna lie about that. The town, we talked as board members about the expense that was and felt that it was astronomically way too high. So if we haven't come up with a solution on the roads, it doesn't matter if we have a committee or not. I mean, the fact is, it takes a lot of people to manage the roads where the parade is slated to go. And without that, you can't have a parade. Last year was again, 2 years in a row, because we didn't have management of the roads. It's been a safety
And
concern.
who did we hire? We hired somebody last year, though, didn't we?
No, the year before
Yeah,
we
we
hired
did.
somebody, and then
Last year, Marianne Hall organized some people to stand with the gates that I believe the Lions Club provided the gates to.
No,
or
Wally
fire
did all
department.
that.
Sorry, fire
Yeah.
department.
Fire department.
And I put them out,
Wally put them all
Yeah.
out.
but
with his
then
kids.
people just ignored them.
Yeah, they don't.
just drove right around them.
You have to have people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you rethink this, instead of having a huge parade, have like a little festival or something down at the playground where you can sell the chicken, sell spots, drinks and whatnot. Just putting this out here. We haven't been
Different
able to do
idea.
fireworks because of the cost of the
Oh
fireworks.
yeah, that's astronomical.
But there is other options. You can do a Class C fireworks show like I did for Mick's wedding, which, if anyone wants to see the video, I can show it to you.
It was good.
And the problem is with a Class C, it's a small setup, so it has to be, you're talking, crowd's gotta be 100 feet away to get the effects. It's not like you're shooting it off from the water plant. You can't do that.
Could it be like, if you had what you're talking about?
It's backyard
Could
fireworks.
it be on the island if?
Well, I'm thinking it could be out in the middle of a ball field and you have everything around.
Okay,
It's
down-
that
down the
close.
Playground.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, there's very little footage that you need to get away. So it'll be a good show for someone that's nearby, but someone that's, standing 3 or 4 streets over,
It won't.
It won't
So
be.
what's the cost of something like that?
I would say,
The fireworks,
$1,500 to $2,000 would put on a good show.
Like Nick's.
Yeah, it could be wired electric. It'd be the week after the 4th of July, so it's something that I could do on my own. I could get the permission from the town to set it off, and I'd be willing to do that at no cost other than the cost of fireworks.
I think the first step is to definitely try to get a committee together, and if you're gonna do a parade or some sort of event, decide, and then,
I think you just need to rethink on how things are done now, because
Yeah.
like Kristen said, it's, even if I have the whole department doing traffic control, we don't have the ability to put anything in the parade. If we can park a couple trucks down there and someone wants to bring a couple trucks, just so the kids can go look at them and see what they are, you know, they see them drive by in the parade, that's pretty cool. You know, if they wanna, the department or whoever wants to hand out candy to the
Yeah.
kids, it's kinda like a trunk or treat, I guess.
Yeah, instead of doing the-
Chickens cooked down there?
Yeah, I don't see why
I know
not.
lots of
They have a
towns.
band or something down there,
But
some like
it would be a focal point to bring people down. The only thing that might be hard would be the parking. And, you know, do we hire a shuttle bus, you park off site and just shuttle people down there? There's
You'd
an
probably
option.
be better off doing that.
Yeah,
Well, the Doreen Hall's not that far, so you could park there and it could be a reasonable walk too. The other thing I was just thinking is, we could, we always go way to the other end of town, maybe it's shrinking down the parade, so it loops down, goes around the loop here and comes back out
Just
by,
down Main Street.
and still starts at the high school, but then it shuts off that whole,
The back there.
because that's where we have all the traffic
Yeah, that's
problems.
where all the.
I mean,
yeah.
I get it. People are like, well, it's always gone by my house, and you know, the people in Cisco Manor like to come out and sit on. But in the other communities, people always have to come to where the parade is.
Right,
So maybe if we shrunk it down, we could shrink down the potential incidences of traffic control
would
issues.
be a lot easier to control that short of a,
I mean, in our parade, I mean, if our parades don't get any longer, it really probably makes more sense to shrink it down. The route, but that's another thing to consider. But
the parades aren't what they used to be either. I
No.
mean, we don't see the bands in them. You're not having,
The Canadians don't come down,
I would say, you
your
know,
local band
it
doesn't
was hard to
come.
get people.
if you were to have some sort of festival, it'd concentrate the people down there and then it'd be all, that's just an idea.
yeah, but let's start with
With getting the
I
word
think
out.
the idea of shrinking the parade is one choice. I agree with that, that's a good one, Molly, but, and I think Andy's suggestion down there, me personally, I think those are two options, really.
Both options to look at.
As long as we know what, what we have to deal with.
Now,
Yeah.
But
if you
but
are
if you did
looking at
both,
traffic control, before I forget, I'm old and I forget things. Cameron Colhart did offer to help traffic control.
and who was
So
that?
he's a Lions member who is a former police officer
Oh,
from
okay.
Atlanta, so.
Lives up on Green Avenue.
Okay.
The problem is there's so many streets you gotta block off and maintain.
Well, that's why
Well,
shrinking it makes
maybe
sense to.
Wally's suggestion would cut back way on that, you know? And the thing about the auction is, if it's in the fire station and you got people down to the playground, they'd have to
Yeah,
relocate it. I don't know what'll happen there, but.
but you could have everything down there is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but if you planned your festival, if the parade didn't happen, at least your event's it's not a total wash.
Yeah,
You know-
because a lot of that money comes back to like, the Santa thing, a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in the community,
Yeah, yeah.
little things and.
So I like Andy's idea, and let's see about getting somebody that's willing to.
We'll start with a post and then we can share the ideas to that, if we can get a committee formed.
And you could even do a minor parade there.
Yeah.
With, let's say, the high school and elementary school bands and a
Yeah.
few other things. And, you know, it wouldn't be the same, but it would add to the festival.
Well, that's like you said, having music of some kind.
Yeah, some kind of music.
You'd even hire a band or have a band, local band come in.
Play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of things you could set up if it was more like a festival, whether that's using the rec committee and face painting and, you
Yeah.
know, all sorts of things that
But you would think
get.
the recommendation would probably be to have it the following weekend because of the
Yeah.
alumni.
Yep, I agree with that.
Well, and I know, and just trying to get the band to commit, that was one of the dilemmas, is she didn't have enough students around the 4th of July weekend.
Right, yeah.
Everyone's,
A lot
yeah,
of people
a
do.
lot of people are gone camping and.
So, we have one more thing.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yep.
Most of you guys are compared to us, are young. You may not feel it, but you are. And a number of years ago, there was an accident with the fountain. I don't know if any of you guys
I remember.
you were probably pretty young when it happened, most of you, but are fairly young.
high
Yeah,
school.
Well, it was a lot of years ago.
yeah.
And You know, there was only like, I may be off a little bit on the numbers, but around $10,000 in insurance was all that was granted for that. So Neil Lovelet, and if you know Neil, lived on North Avenue. And at the time, my wife and I lived on North Avenue, and my wife was with Neil and my wife organized a big fundraiser. I don't know how many of you guys know about that, but just about anybody who ever lived in Richford, the mailings went out in the hundreds, and I mean maybe even over 1,000, countrywide to raise money, literally countrywide, because people moved over the, you know, but everybody was big on the fountain. And in the end, I can't remember exactly how much was raised. It was somewhere around $50,000 or $60,000, and with everything, but it cost around $80,000 to have that dismantled, the parts that were destroyed from the accident, and sent to the foundry that still existed in Pennsylvania, and still had the mold, you know, redo the parts that were damaged beyond repair. So anyways, it was somewhere in the vicinity of around $80,000 overall. But anyway, it's a town thing. And we were told at the time that every so many years with a marine paint, that needs to be protected or it'll literally deteriorate.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been. Okay, and that is the town responsibility. It's town owned. At the time, that thing was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace back in whenever that was, 1980, it was, I can't even imagine what it would cost to replace that today. It's not something the town could ever afford. And my thing is that that's a town responsibility. And if it's either let it go and deteriorate and be no good,
Right, or fix it.
or maintain it. And maintenance is a painting thing. We're not talking about a major expense.
What kind of paint did you say?
At the time, they said marine paint, because that's to be water, you know, to protect the iron, because it's iron,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, it's like a forest green, it's a dark green. Because I was involved in that too. Anyhow, I mean, the worst case scenario, you could call a place like St. Albans and their public, I mean, they know, they do theirs. But, I mean, it's either that or in a few years it's gonna be gone. I've looked it over and believe me, it needs to be done.
Okay.
And like I said, you're talking about something that would cost a fortune to replace.
I guess I wasn't aware that even was something that
Yeah.
needed to be done.
Well, you look at the ones, a few that exist around the state, and you'll see they are maintained painted.
Yeah.
They're kept, because the iron,
Makes
iron's
sense.
iron. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll definitely look into that.
That's something that, unless we don't want it anymore, but I mean, you're never gonna.
No, I don't think you wanna
This
get rid of
town's not gonna spend $300,000-400,000 to replace that thing.
No, we don't wanna get rid of it.
So that's,
Yeah, we'll look into it.
maybe the beautification committee has money enough and you can get them to pay to have it painted.
We might be able to donate some because what money they had left from that, Neil gave it to the beautification committee.
Neil did?
Yes,
Yeah, I thought so, cause,
I mean, there wasn't, I think maybe there was 500 or something.
yeah. It was a major fundraising. It took, my wife took in all the stuff. She did like the treasury type stuff of it and then into the town. And it was like, it must have been like a 2-year project or something. My gosh, it's amazing. I mean, thousands of letters came back with money.
Yeah, there's a
Because
book at the
people were so
Historical
busy.
Society about it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was, and to see it like it is right now is,
So it needs painting. It
It's
has for the last 3-4 years. It's
well,
needed
it's supposed to be
painting.
done every so many
Okay.
years. I mean, like I said, you can check with town like St. Albans or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll look into it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Look into
that should be easy enough.
Yeah.
And see if it needs to be added.
That's the
Okay,
only
it's
thing
gonna
I
have to be
wanted bring up.
sandblasted first for this iron.
That it?
Yeah,
All
Thanks,
right.
Neil.
Well, yeah, thank you.
yeah. And I appreciate your time,
No problem.
because I know what it's like having been on the board for 28 years or whatever myself.
Alrighty. Approval of the March 24th meeting minutes. I have one edit. Under the highway report, it says, the ball was dropped again by the state. It wasn't the state, it was the contract,
So the contract, it was the
the contract company.
okay.
They did, and, well, I could say it under their thing, but they did come and do the testing. We're just waiting on the results.
Okay, so I'll change that part.
Okay. But other than that, do I have a motion to
I'll make a
approve?
motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
I'm sticking around.
I'm gonna stick it in.
That's me.
Town administrator?
Yeah, I have a few things. Okay, so, this has been talked about quite a few meetings ago. The rail trail extension, we were waiting for the budget to pass, which it did, thankfully. So things can move forward now. We received the billing invoice from the state, and our attorney, worked with the state's attorney, or V-Trans attorney, to come up with an agreement. The total repayment that the town of Richford is looking, is $20,320.34, and that is for the right-of-ways that were
Paid out.
The rest is being forgiven, which was $135,000 that we were looking at potentially having to pay back. So, $20,000 was, I think, a decent
Yeah.
number. I we had our attorney talk with them. Bethany Remmers from NRPC, she was a big part of the grant. I mean, this has been ongoing for over 20 years now, trying to do this.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working out. We couldn't get the easements. So what I'm looking for is an approval to pay out the repayment of $20,000,
Which will terminate, which will close out
which will close out
that grant
that grant.
and our obligations towards it.
And it'll come out of the general fund.
I think we better accept that.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a motion to
I'll
to
make a
pay the
motion.
20,000 and close out that grant.
I'll make a motion to pay the 20,000 and close out the grant.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
Okay, we've also been made aware of some misuse of the park and ride on Eastern Avenue. We've gotten calls, I've been approached about it from the people who live across from the park and ride. There's cars down there all hours of the night causing disturbances. They're doing donuts, they're making black marks. We received this park and ride, where we were able to do this park and ride with a grant from the state, and it was intended to limit some off-street or on-street parking, and also for carpooling. You know, if someone's got to park there overnight and they're carpooling with whoever to work or whatnot. So I just wanted to make an announcement, you know, for the residents to respect the park and ride. I mean,
Is there cameras down there?
there's not, but we were made aware that the people who live across the street, apparently one night, there was about 10 cars in the parking lot, and for some reason it was I don't remember the time that they had said, but it was the middle of the night, and they went and kicked in the door at somebody's house.
So
They contacted the state police.
Should we consider putting camera there?
I think we have considered putting cameras there. It was just, we were waiting for the grant to be closed out because there is potential to add more parking in that lot.
Yeah, but we can, I mean,
And then we
could also
had
add
to upgrade the cameras at the fire department so they can talk to I guess it's a matter of them being able to talk to each other.
Yeah, it should be a quick,
From over there,
that should be an easy line
might
of
have to
sight line,
clear-
shouldn't it?
I think there was a
Clear
few
some
trees.
because of the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You're supposed to put cameras up there, that's what,
yeah,
I told
yeah.
Chris,
I think we
Chris
got
Companion came up
quoted
and
for
that's
them.
what we planned it for.
Yeah. So
It
eventually,
was supposed to be done this spring.
yeah,
So can we look into?
we'll have to look into getting the cameras, but I mean, it's kind of disgraceful
Yeah,
to hear, you
yeah,
know,
it's discouraging, yeah.
discouraging, you know, so we just ask that, you know, respect it, you know, it's not made for a hangout spot. We didn't put money into it for them to go down there and burn their tires off and do donuts, and it's just discouraging, you know, we try to do nice things in the community and they get ruined. The fire department policies and guidelines, I don't know if everybody got a chance to look over that. I know Wally mentioned before the meeting, he had just a few,
Yeah, I just
just a different edit.
I tweaked the wording a little bit. Andy's seen it. I don't know if you want it. I'll just pass it around. Let's see if you guys are fine with that. We can.
And just so, to let everybody know, it was to change, the part where it said that we were going to appoint the fire chiefs according to the memorandum of understanding. So we we were changing that
The wording.
to reflect what the charter says.
That was the only change.
That was the only change in the whole policies. So if everyone's good with,
We'll give them a second to look at it.
yeah.
Oh, goodness, sorry.
While you're looking at that, I'll talk about another discouraging thing, the playground. We received 2 emails, there's been 4 phone calls about disturbances down there. Baseball season and softball season have both started, and Kylie has made arrangements with the coaches. They're gonna kind of monitor it down there while they're down there doing their practices and games. You know, if people are down there causing a ruckus, they're gonna, ask them to leave. They're willing to do that, the coaches are.
Cool.
Little League is really hesitant about having their games down there because of the drug activity that goes on down there, which is like the pre-K through, it's the elementary school basically, and they're really hesitant on having games down there because of it. They don't want to expose those little kids to that activity. We've had vehicles that had to have been towed down there. The gate is locked. We do lock the gate, so the coaches are gonna all have keys to unlock the gate, and they're gonna lock it at dusk when they leave.
You were looking into an
Yeah, the
alternative.
guy is coming on the 12th.
So I think that would definitely.
then-
I'm meeting him on the
Possibly.
12th at 10 o'clock, so
Okay.
I'll get a quote from him.
Okay, and then maybe reassess what can be done after maybe school gets out on whether or not. I mean, it's.
I mean, this guy said he could do it for half the price if the town was willing to do the excavating.
It's just it's such a nice place for families to go down and be able to
Yeah.
enjoy the playground equipment or use the ball fields if they want to go down there and play ball with their family and they don't want to go down there because you've got
Mhm.
again people
Understood.
causing disturbances and doing things that they're not supposed to.
Well, now that we have the budget, we'll know more what we can and can't
Mm-hmm.
swing, and maybe we can find the necessary funds in the budget to.
And there's no cameras down there?
Yes,
There
there
is.
is.
Okay.
There is cameras down there. Yes.
And did we see any of these disturbances on the cameras that were reported?
I haven't reviewed any footage. We don't get specific dates and times, so
Oh,
it's
okay. I
hard.
thought
So
you
with the
said there
cameras,
was-
you can go back to
Right.
okay, it was Tuesday, the whatever date it is, and you can go back and look at
But
the
if you don't get
time.
dates and times.
But if you don't
that's
get dates
just-
and times, it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of footage. They're constantly running, so there's a lot of footage.
And you could ask
To
for the
review,
date,
so.
like,
Yeah.
'cause I found out that was handy when I was monitoring.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
did catch a few down there.
Mhm.
So back to the fire department general policies. Do I have a motion to change the wording from chiefs to wardens in accordance with the town charter?
Yes,
Andy's abstaining.
I'll make a motion to change it to wardens.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Marissa, are you all set?
Nope, I have another thing too. Colby Tanner did come in and signed the mowing contract. I have seen him out and about the last week or so. I do know that he just had a new baby, so I think he'll be. But he does have his workers out, I believe. So if everyone, I'm just gonna pass it around so the board can sign
Okay.
the contract that he's agreed to. I also have a few other things for the board to sign as well. In order to apply for the paving grant for North Branch Road like we did last year, we have to sign our town road and bridge standards. And we also have to sign the annual financial plan. So I'll pass those around for everyone to sign as well. And then that's it for me.
Jason wasn't able to secure all the necessary quotes yet for that.
He got all he met with 3 different paving companies, I think the ones that he usually meets with. We did receive, I think Kylie received one quote, we're just waiting on the other 2 people to submit their.
And then when you
two
have that, you'll be
companies.
all set to put in for that grant.
Yes, and obviously we'll go with the highest, and then it'll come to the board for a decision on who actually does the paving for
You
the
gotta
whole
sign this, the
town.
financial one's gonna be signed too?
Yes. Yep, both pages. And Jason and the crew did go to the post office and pressure washed all the globes. And there's lights out front of the stand or the post, and
Yep, the pillar. Yep.
I noticed they were here at the front steps. They pressure washed some on the front steps of the town hall. So they're tackling some things on the list, and I know Kylie said that she was gonna we're working on getting some volunteers. It's just, with the weather, it's so unpredictable right now. I think
crazy.
tomorrow we're expecting snow, so we're kinda holding off on a few of the things to make sure that we don't have to do it twice.
You kind of switched gears.
I thought I went this way with it.
did.
Is that it, Marissa?
That's it for me.
Highway report, as I alluded, the environmental restoration company, came, I think Wednesday after our last meeting, so the 26th-ish, and took samples, and they said it would take 10 to 14 business days, so the results haven't come in, but when we hear that, they'll be able to tell us a game plan to, work on cleaning up the site now that, and we'll have, they've said they'll work with the state, be in conversation with the state for the best plan. The highway crew has been doing some grading, some street sweeping. I actually thought it was genius last week when I came down and it was pouring and they were running the street sweeper down the street.
That's excellent. Yeah.
No dust, no nothing.
Yeah.
I had never really seen them doing that. I don't know if it was just because it was a slow day or that the plan was intentional, but I was like,
I saw him that morning too.
that was a good way to do it, I thought. But just general cleanup. I do have a parking permit, not a driveway permit, for everybody to sign. It's for 1920 Corliss Road, and Jason's already approved it. So I'll just pass this around for signature if you guys are all in agreement. Or is anybody any objections? It does bring up, and I think John, maybe you can speak to this. What are the ramifications if somebody puts in, say, a culvert or a driveway without going through the permitting process?
Well, it could be a formal violation that we could cite them for.
Does the town have the authority to go and yank out the culvert since it's since it's in the town right away and blocking?
We did when I was on it.
I don't know, you know how tricky it is to
Well, I'm just wondering,
do
like,
something.
I mean, is there a fine associated with it? I mean, is there a penalty? I guess, like, that's what I'm asking, like, what are the ramifications?
Well, we can't issue penalties, the penalties has to come from the court.
So, but I mean, we also have rights, the town right away is in the highway right away. We
Even
must have some discretion.
so, the new zoning permit fees that you put out, there was, if you don't get a permit, there's the $250
Fine, yeah.
fine. is that something that you could implement, because a driveway permit is a permit? I mean, it's not a building permit, but it is a permit, could you fine them that $250?
Yeah,
We probably could, yes, because
Before
if you
going
get
to
a driveway permit, you still need a building permit to put the driveway in.
right.
Right.
The
So,
curb cut is getting permission from the town to have that. But to build the actual driveway, you still need a building
Yeah,
permit.
but and maybe the terminology is the same, but I mean, if it's not in the village, is there still such thing as a curb cut?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So maybe that's what can you work with John to explore the property in question on your road? So there was a driveway
It's
put
not
in, no, there was a driveway put in to collect sap.
Yeah.
That was not permitted. And I just, I think we've had a couple other incidents in the last few years where people have thrown driveways in, culverts in on the side of the road. And I think we just need to have some enforcement capability. So if this permitting, that's now in place allows us to do that, maybe we'll get a little more concurrence, or with our rules and regulations. We'll pass that down. And that's all I have for
Actually, I'll give it right to you, John.
highway.
now that it's approved.
Buildings?
I have one thing. We have a quote here. The upstairs of the post office, all the walls and the ceilings have all been repaired. They look great. It's all been painted. Now, of course, the woodwork is very old up there, all the crown molding. A lot of the windowsills are starting to get a little rough on the bottom. I have a quote on going through and staining and polying the woodwork to make it look nice again, to actually save the woodwork. Is $2,500. Is the same person who actually did all the work upstairs. He did a great job.
That was for the historical grant,
that's-
which is being
Yes.
closed out.
The historical grant's being closed out. That part's all done. This is just to finish up the look of it.
And that's what,
If that's something we'd like to do. I would like to do it. I would recommend
and
it.
it fits within your budget for your highway?
Yes.
Yeah, then I don't have a problem with it. How do the rest of the board feel?
I have no problem with it.
And where does this leave us now that once we've done the walls, we've done the painting, we'll do the
The
trim,
floors may be done.
the floor, eventually
The floors and the staircase needs to be redone over there.
Then what
It's
are our,
really
now
raw.
once that's done, what are our plans, I guess, for that?
Well, I was hopefully to get the library over there, but that's out now. But now someone had mentioned the Historical Society was interested in maybe that space. So that's always a possibility too.
Okay.
Because where they are right now, it needs a new furnace, it needs a lot of work, it's got the old sprinkler system. You see what I'm saying? So that might be a possibility too, or we could just see if there's other options out there. Once it's completed, it's gonna be beautiful up there, so it's pretty close to that now, and it's huge.
Okay.
There's a lot of options we could do with that. We'd have to get ADA accessibility for up there, so those are all grants for elevators and stuff, which we'll be looking at and hopefully by the end of this year, looking at and see if we can do something with that.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion? I'll make a motion to accept that quote for finishing the woodworking, refinishing the woodworking. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent, thank you. Let me get this back.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Besides that, not a lot's going on with the buildings right now.
You're all lined up for the roof now. I like that the projects that,
Have them on hold, so I do have to make that phone call, yes.
all the stuff that got approved, kind of moves
Now that the
forward.
budget passed,
Yeah.
we can
Yes.
move forward on the projects that were intended
Yeah.
with the ARPA money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And we had another quote come in for the library,
Yes, we now have three
quotes for the
Three
library.
quotes for the library, 3 quotes for the
For
town
instance.
hall.
Yep,
So it's looking, so that we're definitely able to move now that we have
Yes.
those quotes on those
And that's
projects.
what
yes,
Kylie and I had conversations too about the informational page, putting out the RFPs for these projects to get done. I mean, if we don't get the word out now, people are gonna be booked up
Yep.
and we're not gonna be able
Yep.
to get these projects done, and the goal is to have these done by this year.
Okay. Water sewer?
I don't have anything.
Parks and Recreation?
Nope, just I have a guy coming to give us an estimate on the gate on the 12th. I'm gonna meet him.
And can you explore the
Absolutely.
fountain and the painting?
Yep.
And
Could I ask one thing on that while I sorry to interrupt? Could there be like some way I can be notified to let me know, since I've asked about it, what is, yeah, or if what's gonna happen with the fountain?
The fountain?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can I just check
yeah.
with you?
Yeah, just call here and just
yeah.
check in here, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And just
It's
as
definitely
a
gonna get
follow-up.
painted,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely, just call us, I'd say probably at least give us a couple weeks, but.
Yeah.
Well, I know
It'll
it
need
takes
to be
time.
seen.
Yeah, so just,
Yeah, I
just
think
call
we'd have-
us here and,
have to find out if
I know how those
if anybody can paint it with the right paint, or if it needs to be done
Yeah,
by
I'll
somebody, a
find out.
specialist.
I know that when they redid the ladies in St. Albans, I know the people that kind of did the overhaul on that, so
So I'll
I'll
call you.
talk.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
it takes time.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just hoping it gets done this summer.
Cool. Yeah.
And then, I do have one thing for parks, regarding the garbage. I know last year, I believe you contacted John. I don't know if you wanna just maybe contact him again about, picking up the
Yep.
garbages in the parks. Cause I know he does it out of the niceness,
Yes.
so.
Are the security cameras working in the park up here or
Nope,
not?
so we're working on getting quotes to have the electrical upgraded, cause the conduit is no good there, so we're
something
working
I
on
gotta
getting
follow up.
quotes on
Jason,
replacing that conduit to get the
finishing the
electricity
generator
working
project.
correctly there, so we can get
Okay.
those cameras up and running.
Kristen, what about portalets? You arrange that for the playground?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the, yeah,
Oh, yeah, I called them last year. Yep.
Alrighty. Other business. So, is this something I should do I identify the person or do I?
I would keep it anonymous,
Well,
just-
oh,
I don't know.
the top. Well, we'll keep it anonymous for now. We have a resident wanting to be taken off the trash system, due to financial concerns. The other, I think there's some noise concerns and wanting to save money so they can move. I think, me personally, we've talked to the part of our many meetings, our meetings like with the charter change and stuff, a lot of trash discussion is, in order for it to be effective, we can't keep allowing people to remove themselves from the service. So I would not be in favor of allowing additional people to remove themselves as a homeowner resident. But I'll open up to the board for discussion.
No, I mean, it's in place, it's a program, we can't go against our own.
It's the
It's like
charter.
we try to change it and everybody fights us saying, no, it's the charter, you can't do anything about it, so that means we can't do nothing about it. It stands alone, it's what it is, everybody's on it, point blank.
You don't have your glasses, you can't see it anyway. You won't hear it, then I'll pass it around, but.
I think there was also a complaint in there about, their neighbor parks in their driveway,
Yeah, I
In
mean.
the right of way,
in the right of way.
and it shouldn't be, because the right of way is only a pass through, it's not
Yeah,
a
but I
parking
mean,
spot.
it seemed like the trash service complaint was just an avenue to me, kind of to make all these other, to bring all these other things to light, which don't seem related to the trash
No.
pickup service. So, I mean, all concerns, but not related concerns.
Honestly, it costs more to have your trash picked up anyway, so I don't see a cheaper option. So,
Right, it's definitely cheaper in town, for sure, with the program.
So, I don't think we need a motion on it, we could just decline to,
Yeah,
deny
yeah,
that,
you're
yeah.
gonna just
Deny it,
deny it,
yeah.
yeah.
Or I guess we can, just to cover ourselves. Do I have a motion to deny, this individual's request to be removed from the trash service?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Alan, do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Other business, I have got a a meeting scheduled for the 24th, I think at 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, to meet with Orleans County Sheriff's Department. I think if you guys aren't opposed to maybe just me and Alan meeting, that way we don't have to have a warned meeting. It's just gonna be an informal, here's what we're looking for, here's the town, they wanna do a ride around, see what the area's about. Very, very preliminary meeting, but at least they're willing to come and explore the areas, explore the opportunity with us. So if you guys are okay with that, and Alan, you're okay with it?
What day was that?
That's a Thursday, the 24th at 1. If not, somebody else can, but I was just thinking we'd keep it out of the quorum size.
Yeah.
And we'll report back our findings, the meeting after. Does anybody else have any other business? Rowena?
Yeah, I just wanted to circle around, because I didn't see it in the minutes, but we had some items from the organizational meeting that were tabled as far as people taking the positions. Have those been resolved? That was the town tree warden, town energy coordinator, town moderator, and the lister.
Oh, so we need to appoint Marianne Hall for the moderator.
Yeah.
She has accepted
Excellent.
the position, so.
I would say no, we have not, and can you put this on the agenda for next time and if folks can think of, rethink of names? And, I mean, by all means, if you guys have suggestions as well, I know our long-term tree warden and energy person, has passed, so we need to look elsewhere there. But yeah, no, it got kind of lost thank you for bringing that up again.
Yeah, so we'll put it up on.
And yeah, if you submit it, can you email us a list of the ones that still need to be filled as well?
Yeah, yep.
Whereas we were looking for a tree warden, energy person, put it on the billboard out there, just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We might get
to
some-
volunteer, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, I guess you'd have to get information on
He does?
what it actually entails, what the job.
I don't think it's a very involved position. I mean, that definitely not the tree ward, and I think that's more of a historic position than anything. The energy one might be a little more involved, but I don't think it's substantially
I'll
involved.
do some research, and that way if someone does come forward and they're like, well, what does it entail, we'll have some information.
Okay.
And then I just want to touch on the parking ban, the ordinance. Are we putting that in? Because that's year round, correct, that you had on?
Yes, and we did put the no parking signs up this week.
On,
on
is that, I always get that confused,
It's on
Main
River
Street or River Street? Which one
It's River
is?
Street up to the corner.
Up to the corner, yeah.
Okay.
And I did notice that, and I think we need one more sign.
Yeah.
Yes, I got some on order. I thought that I had
Somebody
ordered
had asked me
multiple
about
ones.
the sign that faces this
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
when
we
it should
gotta
be
flip.
actually facing up the road so
Yeah.
people can see where they'd be parking.
Yeah.
That needs to be turned, yeah.
I did mention that to Jason, so I think he'll be on that.
But maybe if we could get it back on the sign.
Yep.
Because we, for ages,
It's been just
December
winter.
1st is
Yeah.
April
Mhm.
15th, and now that you guys have changed it,
Yep, we can put it on there.
Yeah,
and
let
it's-
people know.
and then the last thing that I had was about executive session. I don't know, you had it on your agenda to do an executive, and I know you've done a lot of times, you've gone into executive, but the one thing that you've been missing is, it really, per the open meeting law, is supposed to be stating, why you're going in, just not, we're gonna.
Yeah, on the agenda, correct?
On the agenda, or no, when you go and you make a motion, you
Yes.
go into executive
Yeah, we're
session.
going to personnel if we're
And so
going.
we have been lately, for the most part.
Yeah, you say you're going in because of personnel, or because you have a contract for tree trimming that you need to discuss. You can make it general, you're not doing the specifics, but it really should
Okay,
be per the open meeting law,
all right,
to know.
that's doable.
That's all I have.
Okay.
I know, and so what I do too is not every meeting needs an executive session, but I put it on there just
case
so,
we need one.
just in case we need one, so there's not always usually if I know if one of the board members requests ahead of time that they need an executive session, I'll usually put okay, it's going in for personnel, so, or
Yeah,
contractor.
which is good.
Or whatnot, I tried to make sure that I did that. But sometimes it's just on there, just in general, just in case.
Yeah.
Because they say to, per the
Right,
open meeting, they
just
say to
if-
state it.
And you might put if needed or
Yeah.
something behind it.
Mhm.
So,
John?
Yes, I want the board to know, we won a judgment against 144 Main Street of $6,160, which she's supposed to pay in 90 days, but even the lawyer doesn't expect she will, that she will place a lien on the property, and they have 60 days to bring their property into compliance. But so far, I haven't seen any hints of any improvement.
Okay.
Any follow-up to the property concern voiced at the last meeting? I know you said
I talked to the attorney about it, and she was going to file a contempt of court action against her.
Perfect.
and what is the time frame on something like that? Like what?
Oh, I think it, it could take for a long time. These courts, they don't move fast on any of this stuff. Because it was, the first time I cited this 144 Main Street was back in 2021.
Already, holy crap.
But I wanted you also to know that, Karen and I are working very well together, and we're sending out dozens of letters to people. And this comment I thought was so funny. We sent a letter to a gentleman, and he called, yes, he said he would clean up whatever we mentioned. He said, now that you've got the Pink Lady cleaned up, you're gonna expect everybody to be cleaned up. And I said, yes, wouldn't that be wonderful?
I will just follow up that I did speak with the residents for voice concerns about getting rotting feed material from our grain mill in town. I did speak with the plant manager and said, one, it was never rotting material. It was stuff that like the stuff gets spilt on the floor. They it's contaminated enough so it can't go in a bag of food, but there's nothing wrong with it. And they have not given this individual property owner any of the grain since, I believe he said early August last year, because they'd been made aware of the property concern, the issues going on in that, with that property owner and her neighbors. So I did follow up there and thanked him for being proactive and not and assisting. You're all set, John?
Yeah.
Robert, Mr. Weatherby, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. I think you answered it on the memorandum of understanding. Did both parties sign off on that, or was it verbal?
So I talked with our attorney about this situation with the memorandum of understanding, and because there was no terms listed on this memorandum of understanding, there was no need for either party to sign off on a document stating that we were terminating it. All the select board needed to do was notify the fire association that this was happening, which did happen. We did notify them that we were following the charter because the changes did not get approved. And we notified them that the memorandum of understanding was not going to be renewed and or terminated.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it today, Bob?
Yes, it is.
Alrighty. And is there anything else?
Give a quick executive thing,
For
personnel.
personnel, okay.
Alrighty. And do you expect anything to come out of it? No. Okay. You're all set.